to. I think we're live right now.
Oh, are we?
Yeah, we
Okay.
just started going live. Just as it wrapped up.
All right, all right.
What do you think of the thumbnail? Decent? We got Ilia
Yeah,
Topuria in the background.
yeah, yeah.
Alright. Let me just make sure we're live before we just start yapping.
I dropped that. I dropped that apology letter to Ilya yesterday.
You did. Okay, we're live right now. So you dropped that apology to Ilia. What'd you say?
I'm sorry, bro.
Oh, you're sorry.
Yeah, I doubted you, dear Ilya. My deepest, sincerest apologies. How I was wrong.
You did. Okay, we're live right now. So you dropped that apology. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm sorry to Ilia too. I just fucking gave the video a like real quick. I'm sorry to Ilia too. I mean, I counted him out. Looking back, maybe I was being brash in my prediction. Like I said though, I'm Hawaiian, so that's why I was coming different with that energy. I just love the Hawaiians.
Yeah.
With that said, let me put it like this, right? Ilia Topuria is better than what Conor McGregor was in his prime.
I would say that time will tell. I forgot what was Connor's defense record like.
He never defended the title, so Ilia beat him on that already.
He didn't defend the title. How? I thought he held two
He
belts.
did. He went straight up.
So he beat Jose Aldo, right?
Beat
The title.
Aldo, got the title.
Okay.
Then he fought Nate Diaz.
In a different division.
Yeah, so he was actually going to move up, right, to fight Rafael Dos Anjos
Okay.
to challenge for the lightweight title. Dos Anjos pulled out with a leg injury or some bullshit like that. And so Nate Diaz stepped in, and McGregor fought him and lost that, which then caused the rematch with Nate Diaz. He won that, and then it was Eddie Alvarez then became the champion. I believe Eddie beat Dos Anjos. So then basically, by the time Conor was done with Nate, Conor fought for the lightweight title against Eddie. Then he went to
Hmm.
boxing. Crazy. It was a crazy run Conor had, but he never defended the title at featherweight or lightweight.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of these wins. So you beat Dustin.
He tried to defend the title at lightweight at least. He tried to defend it.
Yeah, I mean,
Did I get that right? How I broke it down? The two Nate
yeah,
Diaz fights, right? And then he fought Eddie?
he lost the last two to Dustin. He beat Donald Cerrone. He lost to Habib. He beat Eddie Alvarez. He beat Nate Diaz. He lost to Nate Diaz. He beat Jose Aldo. So all those wins before Jose Aldo was when he got the title, and then he fought Nate Diaz twice, Eddie Alvarez, and Habib. So I guess you're actually, you know what? I never put that all into perspective.
I know, that's why I said that, because I was evaluating, and I'm like, I think he's better than what McGregor was. On top of that, Ilia's got those hands, and he strikes like McGregor. I'm gonna be real. When I watch him strike, I see hit the Eddie Alvarez knockout a lot. That 4-piece combo, that long 4-piece combo. If you go watch back Eddie Alvarez knockout, and then go look at the same combos he was hitting on Max, it's the same like long it's like a 2-3-4-5 or something like that.
Yeah,
Anyway, he
yeah, I
also
would,
has the wrestling. That's the biggest thing.
yeah, I would say that, I was never, first of all, I was never a Connor fan.
Bro, I came up on Conor. That was like right when I graduated high school.
Really, yeah, I was never a Connor fan. It wasn't until I think I told you last time when I watched his documentary on Netflix where I became a fan. I didn't put in all his hard work to get where he was at into perspective. I just took his brash and his fucking, all the shit he said. I love him as a shit talker. But I didn't. I remember the Jose Aldo fight because I remember I was going for Jose Aldo, and it was such a quick that one of the fastest knockouts ever, right?
Yeah.
And he shocked the world,
Shocked the
became,
world.
and I thought all the pieces before that led to that. But now looking at this, you know, he he made it. He made a name for himself. That's for sure. I can't take that from him. But looking at the record, I mean, wow, that's not as impressive as I expected it to be.
Yeah.
That's
It's
crazy.
and get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. It's not a bad record. You're fighting Nate Diaz. You defeat Eddie Alvarez. The difference is, right, we're talking about the body of work at featherweight.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking. Okay, I like to like if we were to say the goats, in my opinion, and in his prime, it was Anderson Silva because of how many title defenses he had.
Definitely one of the goats. People forget about him.
I mean, it's been a while now, and he's a prime example of someone that couldn't retire at the top.
Yeah,
You know,
he was well overdue.
yeah, well overdue, well overdue. If he would have retired in his prime, he would have just walked away like Khabib. But they would have praised him even more. But I think it was 8 or 9 title defenses, and then all those finishes. See, in my mind, I'm thinking Conor had a record like that, but he
It was
didn't.
more so on the come up.
It was on the come up,
That
yeah.
he had it on
So,
the come up against the subpar competition.
so
Even
now,
Chad Mendes, he had that good finish. You know, he did knock out Chad Mendes.
yeah. So now, if I were to think about it, 27 years old, defeated 2 legends. He has an opportunity to be better than Conor.
Right.
He's doing it so far.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like a GOAT goes, right? Connor's a 2 division champion. Ilia's only defended his title, right? So I'm not saying that like Ilia's a better fighter of all time than Connor on that list because you also got to factor in the money, and Ilia hasn't brought in that revenue yet. But as far as featherweight, I think one of the goats at featherweight is about to be Ilia, and
Yeah,
by
I mean,
knocking out Alex and Max, one more win.
yeah, I mean, I would just say this: 2 more wins in 2025. You and I are having this conversation at the end of 2025, and he's knocked out 2 guys. Let's just say he knocks out one, and he goes in a decision. He just smashes somebody just through a decision. We're gonna have this same conversation, and it's gonna be like, nah, nah, like, and if he were to move up and go fight Islam and get a win, unlike how Conor wasn't able to get the win versus Habib. Now we're talking a whole nother status.
That would be crazy.
He's only 27. So this is what's fun about all this is that, I was eating my own words and like I said, I started off with my apology letter too. But he proved me wrong.
Yeah, he did.
He proved me wrong. And in the fashion that he did it, and he was able to stand in the pocket, he didn't look tired. You could see that he can go into championship rounds. He was tested. I like that front leg kick, that calf kick he did. I love that. I went back and watched it. I had it when I first watched it. Let me ask you this: did you have Max up 2-0?
I had Max up 2-0, but obviously I got a bias.
Yeah, I did too.
But they're close rounds.
So I went back and I watched it with another group of friends, and I told him, I was like, "What do you think?" He goes, nah. He goes, it's Ilia's up 1-0 on this. You got to take it from the champ. You always say that too. I was like, man, I always do say that. You got to take it from the champ. And now looking back on it, that front leg kick, the calf kick that Ilia did, and then the takedown too at the end of the first round.
You're right.
Ilia's up 1-0. Now going into the second round, I was kind of like, did he take it from the champ? No. But it was super competitive that second round. I could have said, okay, 1-1, maybe, Max. Maybe.
Right. No, they're both very close rounds, and I think Ilia was landing the bigger shots, but Max was landing the more pop shots.
Versus power. Sean said that. Sean O'Malley said that. It's volume versus power.
Yeah. So, I mean, in that case, sometimes it's like 2 of Max's shots is equivalent to 1 of Ilia's. So if Max is landing like twice the rate, it's still kind of even.
And then let's put into the equation that front leg calf kick. That was
eating up Max.
Oh yeah, that was deadly.
It looked like it was eating up Max. I was like, damn, Justin Gaethje couldn't even eat up Max like that. No, did he? Yeah. You know? Nah, but as far as Ilia goes, I mean, is that fighter of the year? Because the debate is him and Pereira. Let me break it down real quick, right? It's really going to come down to this. Knocking out 2 former champions, proven veterans of the sport, and their #1 contenders at the time. Or, right, Max fought back up to #1 contender status. It's not like a former champion ranked at number 6. You got Pereira, who's beating former champion in Yuri. That's definitely a solid win. But then you're talking about Jamal Hill and, another former champion.
Yeah.
Then you're looking at Khalil. Not a former champion. So you got 2 former champions. That's tough.
Yeah,
3 fights versus 2 fights.
That too, and last minute.
Yeah.
came through just like, all right, fucking
As
put
far
me
as
in.
pulling through, right? Like that's a fighter of the year kind of like what
That
checkbox.
right,
Yeah,
right. I always give it to the bigger guys because if I'm thinking,
that's fair.
I don't know what it is. There's something about it. Like even
That's
when I
how the
look at
game is. The king of the game, right, is always the heavyweight
right,
by
if it would,
default.
if they were, yeah, if they were in the jungle and they were to see each other,
Right,
Ilia ain't doing shit.
right. Heavyweight has always been the premier division.
Right, right. And
So
so, yeah, I think let's put this. Let's break this down then. So they both Alex beat two former champions. He got pushed to the limits with Khalil Roundtree and then demolished him in the fourth round. Demolished him so bad that the guy just literally crumbled.
yeah,
I think he was kind of sick too, wasn't he? He was like coughing in the
he was
corner.
sick. He was sick.
I get a little like,
And in the previous fight, he was injured. So it's
and he
like
like there was like what, hey, 2 weeks. Hey, can you come and fight for us? All right, fuck it, let's roll, bro. I don't give.
injured, sick. He takes it.
He's just a dog like that, bro. That's kind of like how Bobby Green is. Is like, bro, I don't give a fuck. Let's just go fight. Let's see what happens.
Right.
I think I
With
look better like that.
with that being said, I will give it to Alex because not only does he have one extra title defense, but he's also doing the short notice fights, fighting sick. He's
Short notice.
probably selling more tickets, right? He's probably making the company more money.
Yeah,
So if you're bringing in more revenue on top of everything else I just said, I think
yeah,
you're the true fighter of the year because fighter of the year is all of that.
yeah. But not hey, my hats still go off to Ilia. Like I started off saying I apologize to him. You have a chance to really cement yourself as maybe a goat. That's where I thought Sean O'Malley was if you wouldn't have lost to Marab.
You thought he'd be because he was actually going to fight Ilya.
Right, he could have lined himself for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
He wins that fight, bro. You become undeniable. Yeah, let's go fight fucking Ilia and shit. What's
Two
up?
title defenses and fighting Ilya would have been crazy.
Right, but now all that gets pushed back behind you. Ilia now, all he has to do is get a couple more wins to open those conversations.
Yeah,
I
I
don't think
agree.
I don't think he beat Islam, but that's a whole nother episode. You know what I mean? But no, he's right on the heels of I put the weight class in mind, and I put what you just said, all those factors in mind. But he's a very close second. Like
He's in the conversation now. Before that, with the one win, he wasn't even in the conversation. Now he's in it.
yeah, and it's the devastating fashion that he did it in.
Right. And also, it's just like that's just a record or an accomplishment. Really, what's more important, right, is the body of work throughout your career. Nobody really looks back and says he won Fighter of the Year.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. I
No, it
would say
doesn't.
Ilya, keep doing your thing, bro. Keep doing
Yeah,
your thing. I'm
because
I'm backing you.
yeah, because he has a chance. And you know what? And I should have said this too. At the end of the fight, he won me over. At first, I was like, oh man, he's too cocky. He's arrogant. What was all the shit I was saying? He's like a villain, rich boy, all this shit. Like, man, he just rubbed me the wrong way.
I thought he was sipping his Kool-Aid. That's what I
Right.
said.
Right. It's like, not yet. You're good, but not yet. Prove me wrong. But then he went back and he was respectful to Max. He was respectful to Volk. That won me over. Like that other side of him, to see that. And now I can, moving forward, like, all right, you know how to hype up a fight. So now I know in the back of my mind, but you're still respectful, maybe unless someone just turns him the wrong way. But Max didn't do anything to him. Volk didn't do anything to him. It's going to be, he can play the villain, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like
We'll see where he takes it. I think he could
Yeah.
go either way. I think a lot of kids look up to him, like role model type thing. So he could even be like the baby face.
Oh,
We'll see
yeah.
what happens. How the fuck does he get that money though? Two
In,
million on a gym?
oh, I remember who asked him that, DC?
DC, you got any you ever grow up with any rich homies?
A couple, but not like that, but a couple.
I got cause I'm over here in OC, right? So of course I got some rich homies over here. I got a couple, and the ones whose parents take care of them. Ilya reacted just like they do. Whenever you ask him, yo, how you get your money? The face changes instantly. They look down. They don't want to talk about it. It's like, dude, just answer the fucking question.
Well, some are like that. Some are just brushed, like, dude, fucking, I grew up like this. I was born
Some
like
some do, but a lot of times, at the age we're at now, my friends will be like, Like, oh, like just like Ilya said, like I do things like I do business. Like it's like what kind of business, bro? Let me know about it. Like let me get 2 mil.
I did see that post where they were talking about. Did you see this? Where he when he was on Ariel's show, he talked about how he came up in the first 4 jobs he had. Did you see that?
No, no, let me hear about that.
I can play that real quick for you. Um, oh, this one.
He said he had 4 jobs before MMA.
What were the jobs? The 4 jobs. One was a cashier, right? At Stradivarius. Stradivarius?
Yeah. It's a story of clothes story. Clothes story.
Okay.
And I was doing wrestling classes in another gym. I was working in La Playa.
So, but what I am wondering is though,
When he was coaching grappling.
how much money does his wife's family have?
You think his wife's family might have something? You think they have something?
I don't think she's poor, bro.
Here's what I think. I mean, yeah, because she's kind of got that look to her, right? Like she got that wag look to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like I just was built with wealth, like you know what I mean. Like I think Ilia may have, because even MMA Guru dropped about how his mom and dad moved from this country to move to this country because they didn't have a lot of money, and then they moved back because it would give him a better foundation.
Yeah, I think I know what it is.
Okay.
I think when he won the title, or even like maybe the fight before that, the chancellor or whatever you call it, like the president, right, of like what Spain is, they had to have given him a bag, and maybe even Georgia too. Because did you hear that Marab, when he went to Georgia, they gave him like over 6 figures. They just gifted it to him, and he said he's gonna donate it to like build a gym so that the next generation of kids can train in Georgia. But like Ilya, I guess, just pocketed that shit. He must have got it on like 3 different fronts, like maybe Georgia, maybe Spain.
You know what we're gonna do? We should add is like an investigative MMA guy that we know. Be like, hey, go do this homework for us.
That'd be good, right? Call him in, phone him in. Hey, actually, I was thinking about maybe getting one guy on next week. This is kind of random. I got 2 MMA guys that I've like been fucking with, who I like. They're both out of San Diego.
Okay.
I'll name drop them first. Roberto Hernandez. I think he likes to go by Robert though.
All right.
He fights for Cage Warriors. He actually fought my boy Jon Jones, former UFC fighter. But we fuck with each other because we did an interview too. So now I fuck with Robert.
Trains out of here?
Huh?
Trains out of here?
Yeah, he trains out of San Diego. Or no, he actually trains out of more like NorCal area, but he fights in San Diego a lot for Cage Warriors.
Okay.
So he's kind of like, he's Mexican, right? So you guys actually have like a similar vibe, I feel like, as far as like with how you talk and shit like that. So you might get along pretty well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, let's bring him up.
Yeah. He's like a little bit older, so he's not really as much of a prospect, but he's still trying to get to the UFC, you know? And he has like some good fights, so maybe he can still end up getting there soon. Because actually a guy from Cage Warriors ended up fighting on Contender Series, and I think Robert should have got the shot over him, to be honest. I think Robert's had a more, advanced career. And then the guy who fought Cody Steele.
Okay, I can picture, but yeah.
Anyway, I'm ranting. So maybe him. Then there's a guy named Anthony Orozco. Anthony Orozco's like a prospect coming up out of San Diego. He trains at like Fight Academy, or I don't know what the gym is called. I think it might be called MMA Factory or MMA Fight Academy.
Okay.
He's a prospect. He's pretty chill, but I don't really know him that well. I just think he's actually like a hot prospect. Like he's probably going to be a big name in the UFC, and probably he's a welterweight. Your favorite.
All right, I love that.
He might have to go down to 155 though, because he's like, I don't know. I think he might need to go down to 155. Because imagine him. You'll have to look at him, but him against Buckley. Buckley's got like more muscles and shit, so I don't know. Anyway, those are 2 guys maybe we can get on. And then, so what do you think? Maybe we'll get the Mexican guy on first?
Hey, whoever you want, bro, bring him on.
Okay.
I actually, and behind the scenes, I was talking with Anthony Hernandez. I forgot, have you interviewed him yet?
No.
All right, I'm gonna see if I can. We're working on trying to set something up, so I want to do that for all of us.
Okay.
Talk to you more
Bet.
about that.
Okay, yeah, talk to me more about that. And then
Okay.
I saw
Other
this.
Mexican fighter. Other Mexican fighter.
Yeah, I saw this like random account that I followed the other day. He's like a bodybuilder, but maybe just for like fun, we can get him on if he likes MMA. But he's from out of like San Diego. Let me see if
And I just read this. Georgina Baldau is the founder and company called Future and Energy. Business works towards improving society by improving sustainable solution. It is clear that Ilia Topuria's wife is very successful in her own right, complementing Topuria's success in the octagon and her own career too. I think if we were to look at her background and her family, thinking they come from a lot.
what's her name, Georgiana.
Yeah.
That's kind of a hefty name, right? It's like a rich name. Yeah, maybe she's got some money, but then it's like, is she giving that bread to Ilya?
I mean, you get born into it, right? I mean, that comes with it, right?
The dad's like, let me build you a $2 million gym, son.
Oh, the wife probably is like, I'm building it for him. Oh,
She's like,
I guess we're like crossing. We're gonna do some research. The next time we do this, I'm gonna come back with some like real like, hey, who is she?
if she really built it for him though, what a good woman, right?
Oh, great woman.
To be like, no, daddy, she needs it, or he needs it.
Great woman.
That's a great woman. No wonder he married her.
And now he's champ.
Yeah, finessing $2 million out of pops.
I bet the dad at first is like his father-in-law is like, I don't know about this one.
Right. You know what? She's all right in my book.
Dad.
All right, so let's go on to a topic. Oh, I was actually gonna say that guy. Look him up though. The bodybuilder, AMG Muscle. You ever heard of him?
Maybe I'd have to see it. You know what I mean?
He's just from San Diego too. So I like looked at it and I'm like, I always think of you when like there's some guy from San Diego, and like bodybuilding, I feel like kind of like overlaps with MMA just because like it's fitness. You know, they cut weight and shit like that. Like, so I kind of like to maybe like see if we can overlap it, especially if he watches fights. I feel like it'd be cool.
I agree.
And he's got a platform. He's kind of viral. Anyway, let's talk about Jon Jones and that little situation. Have you looked into that at all?
I saw a little bit about it, but I didn't. I saw his post. I saw his post about him saying, hey, thank you for the the commission or
Basically, thank you for ending this process in a speedy way.
yeah.
And I'm looking forward to fighting Stipe at MSG.
I'd like to extend my thanks to the justice system for reaching a prompt resolution in this matter, which affirms my innocence and enables me to maintain my focus on the upcoming fight. Wow, he's getting really good grammar all of a sudden.
That's his legal team.
That's him, bro. I'm eagerly anticipating the opportunity to defend my heavyweight title on November 16th at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, his team put that together. Like, is this okay? Yeah, send that motherfucker.
Right. So basically, what happened there, and just, I got a few questions, right? There's only a few speculations in this case that we can really question. The biggest question of all, right, is that this lady got mad because I guess Jon couldn't piss, right? He came back, he couldn't pee.
Yeah.
And so when he came back, he said, I can't pee. And she says, like, okay, well, we can take blood then. And I guess maybe she said it threatening or something. I don't know. That's my guess. Maybe she threatened that. And Jon got pissed. Jon's right. Starts cussing at her. And apparently he grabbed her phone, right? And now, like, I believe, well, she alleges that he kept her phone for like a minute. But the police say that they also found a video on her phone that Jon recorded where he's filming her coworker that was there being like, I got Crystal and fucking Jerome in my garage, and then like it cut out. So he did have her phone in his hand. And I guess that's like alleging assault, like because he never touched them. So anyway, that's I guess like obstruction of communication or something maybe. I don't know what that was.
I mean, it's threatening something, right? I mean, you can't just be taking shit from.
Is that illegal? You can't take her phone like that?
That's that's a good question, like within the law, because it's like, let's say you took my phone from me, right?
Yeah.
And the cops come up, and then you just like here. I mean, it's
just a thing.
Right. It's very like you didn't. Like because you can just give it right back and just walk away. Like I didn't take anything.
Exactly, and I think that's why he got off with this.
Yeah. But it's definitely, you know, that's not a good move.
I guess it wasn't a good move, but there's kind of proof that he did take the phone. I wanted to put that out there because people kind of like he got off with this. But if you read the police report or an article about it, it says John like did the police say they watched the video and he said like we got Crystal and fucking Jerome, and then it cut out like he barely even said a sentence.
Right.
So he did take her phone and he filmed her.
Facing towards them.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's not a good look at all.
not a good look. He got pissed off about that, and I guess she got pissed too and went to the deputies like a week later.
Okay.
So she pressed charges. John, of course, always denied it. But a few of the X factors, I guess, in it too is that the lady's like accusing John of like being drunk, smelling like alcohol. Do you think she's trying to like maybe secure a little bag here, or you think it's potential that John might have been drinking in the afternoon? This was at 4 p.m.
We can't put it past him at this point. It wouldn't be too like a far-fetched on his history of things that he's done, right?
Exactly.
It's like you saying about me, like, hey, I just walk into somewhere, it's like, I think he's a little hungover. He's like, yeah, but when I first met him at the fucking event, he was hungover. He probably hungover.
Right. But at the same time, if you think about it, it's like, so what, even if he was drunk?
Yeah.
Maybe the lady was just pissed off and like she doesn't know how to process these things and like thought she had a case, but she really had no basis because these are the only things that really happened. He was like drunk. He took the phone. He did give the piss on the second attempt.
Yeah, I think if you look at the big picture of it, he could have handled that situation 1,000 times better, right? She probably saw an opportunity here, like, well, shit, he did do this, he did do that. Can I charge him for something and try to maybe settle off court? I mean, especially if you're feeling a certain way and you're upset, like, dude, look at he probably disrespected her, right? She definitely was feeling a certain way.
I think he cussed her out because he couldn't piss the first time and he got like embarrassed maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because like you piss someone off and you're going to see how they're going to react, and for whatever reason he got pissed off, then she felt threatened. It's a domino effect, right? Bam,
Right.
this happened. Imagine he just takes a piss test, she just leaves, and there's no story.
But that's the thing, right? John always has these complications.
It's always
It's
something.
always a crooked line to the fucking story. It's never.
It could have just been like.
And even like with the court cases, I'm just laying out some of the intricacies. Like he missed his first court date because like his address and name wasn't recorded properly in the system. Like who knows who gave the wrong name? Was it John? Was it the court? Was it the lady? But it's like it's always, and so they put a warrant out for his arrest initially because he missed the court date. And then he's like, "Oh no, it's just a misunderstanding." But it's always something.
Yeah. Well, because you know what it is, it goes back to like if you were to think about the psychology of it, when someone's always trying to bend the rules a little bit, or not go. Oh, I want to do it my way, and I don't. If I can't get it done my way, then I'm gonna make a big case out of it. So I'm gonna make a big deal about this. Where some people, they'll just be like, all right, like what you had said about if the cops come, right? The cops come, you're just like, all right, here, this is what you need. All right, bye. My case was the cops came, I'm fucking arguing, yelling, blah, 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 you know what I mean? I'm not taking it. So temperament and emotional intelligence can be added into this whole equation.
Maybe John is lacking some of that. I always think though, I feel like this a little bit.
Are most fighters?
Maybe, yeah, to some degree.
Yeah.
Because they got, something, they're fighters, right?
Yeah.
They definitely don't think about every single circumstance or else they probably wouldn't fight.
And then you add money to it and a little bit of fame. Like, dude, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, I don't want to have to deal with you. Like, Like, you know what I mean? Especially if someone, like, tries to say, oh, no, this is the way we're going to do it. Like, nah, that's not the way I want to do it.
No, I hear that. But, okay, with all the allegations, right? It's like, where there's smoke, is there fire?
But a lot of times there is. A lot of times.
Like, because you hear about the delayed drug testing. You hear about delayed drug tests as far as, like, you can beat things by certain windows.
Right.
And so if he buys himself an hour because he know, and this is just speculating, but I'm just saying when you create the smoke, I'm gonna have to speculate.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you might be buying an hour of time so that things can get out of your system. We don't know. That's why you need to kind of follow the rules, John, because there's already a lot of speculation by your name. So I'm just putting that out there because I find it kind of odd that like he's innocent and all these things do seem to be like, oh, in a roundabout way, he was innocent. But it's like you're delaying court hearings, right? You're delaying the drug test, right? You're cussing out this lady because you can't piss the first time. Why like what these seem like manipulative tactics.
I agree. I 100% agree with
That's all I'm going to say because I can't really say more.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we would there's more to the story, probably.
Probably, right? But hey, he got past it again. So kind of like what I've been saying, he did it again. He did it again. But there's never a fucking clear-cut path, but he did it again. So, good for Jon. Looking forward to the fight.
Yeah, I'm glad they're going to be able to fight too.
Yeah. Okay, so we did talk about Ilia. Real quick, let's just touch on like should he fight Volkanovski or Diego next?
What presented the question to me was that as a fan, I want to see Diego. I think that he presents more of a problem. We've already seen what Volk has. I think Volk is on the back nine. Diego's a rising fighter. Diego's big. I'd be interested to see how that equation, how Ilia goes about that equation. I would pick Ilia though.
Right. Now, what if I were to say, I feel like Diego hasn't exactly earned it? Is that crazy?
Yeah, I don't
Has
know.
he earned it? Could he
Not
fight Volk?
not as much as Volk has earned it. I will say that because Volk
Okay.
deserves a title. He deserves a chance to try to redeem himself. He deserves that much respect.
Just cause.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Ilia would win again. I think that maybe you put Diego versus. I was looking at the division. No one impresses me in that division. It's different when I look at the welterweight division.
Mm-hmm.
Welterweight division, bro, there are sharks literally swimming right now around DDP.
Hey, by the way, I interviewed Themba this week.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
I told him I was like, he goes, like long story short, right? This is almost a spoiler, but towards the end of the interview, he's like, so you asked me all these questions. Now I gotta ask you a question. Who do you want me to fight? And I go, all right, let me look up the rankings. He says, no, don't look up the rankings. Tell me off the top of your head who you want me to fight. And I said Michael Morales.
A good one. That's a dangerous one.
But because he was telling me he wants to beat one of, because I told him all the Shark Tank, right? Like you're talking about. And he goes, I wouldn't mind beating one of those young up and coming guys instead of making a name off like, you know how Buckley's calling out Usman? He's like, I wouldn't mind beating one of the up and coming guys. And remember I told you last week, these up and coming guys, they're going to have to knock each other off. They can't all make it to the top 5.
Oh, yeah.
So I like that. Themba's also older than Michael.
How old is he? Like 31?
I think he's like 30, 31. And Michael's what, like 25, 26? So throw them against each other.
Yeah. But looking at that division, there's not a lot of sharks. I thought about Brian Ortega. I don't think Brian Ortega beats.
Brian's out. 155 now.
Is he?
Yeah, I gotta be.
If we were to look at, I don't have the list right in
You
front
got Allen, right? Arnold Almighty Allen. Giga Chikadze.
Okay.
Bryce Mitchell.
No. Pass. Arnold Allen pass. Aljo Sterling. Here's the thing. Okay, here's what we're gonna find out.
Hey, you just said it.
Aljo fights what's his name at UFC 309?
Aljo Diego title eliminator, but Aljo's already booked up against Mozart.
Fighting what's his name?
Mozart.
Right. He's undefeated, right? 18-0.
Right.
So they're both ground guys, right?
Right.
Right. So Aljo's a ground guy, right? Aljo's in his mind. This is what everybody's thinking in their mind right now. Especially the guys on the ground. I take him down. I'm gonna submit him. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'd like to see Aljo. I'd like to see Ilia tested on the ground. I have a feeling that we know he's good on his feet. We're about to find out maybe he's top tier on the ground. And so now you push Aljo out of that even talk. The other guy that Aljo's about to fight, dude, I can't see anybody in a division who can beat him.
Movsar?
What I cannot.
You don't think anybody can beat Ilia?
Not in that division.
I think the best test is a guy like Aljo.
I think
Former
so too.
champion.
I think so too. So
American wrestling.
Let's say here's my thing. Aljo gets knocked by Sean, right?
Right, he did.
So we know that
on short notice. That's a little asterisk.
Yeah, well, but how short was it? Like 3 months?
Dude, they did him dirty.
I didn't know they did him dirty. I remember watching that.
Yeah, I gotta keep that one a buck. They forced him into that shit.
Alex Pieta came off 2 weeks and said, "Fuck it, put me," you know.
Right, but the thing is that's like okay, I hear you, but that's like doing that to Alex at middleweight, because Aljo cut a lot of weight. You have to remember.
Yeah.
He cuts a lot of weight, so forcing him to do that in 90 days, that's a lot for Aljo. It's not like 45.
Okay, so let's do this. So the winner of the Aljo fight versus the undefeated kid.
Right.
Because Arnold Allen doesn't impress after that fight. He lost to the undefeated kid, right? Arnold Allen lost to that undefeated kid.
He actually won his last fight.
Arnold Allen did, or Aljo?
Arnold Allen won his last fight. I can't tell you who he fought though, and that's an issue, right?
Alexa, who did Arnold Allen fight last?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Oh, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, we don't know who Arnold fought last.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Okay, he beat
Giga. Yeah, he fought Giga.
Yeah, in an unanimous decision. But I wasn't impressed with that fight, though, bro.
Well, they're both kind of like they lost their propelled fights to get to the title against like a guy like Max.
Out of that. Now, Mosvar boasts 18-0. He's kind of like the Habib type of that in division, right?
Yeah.
And he beat Allen back in January. Mosvar beat Diego Lopez last year. Mosvar beat Dan Ige last year.
So is Aljo versus Movsar the number one contender?
I would say that they fight Diego Lopez next.
Okay, so winner fights Diego next.
So let's say, okay, so Ilia fights Volk. That's pretty much going to happen, as far as we know. Mosvar and Aljo is literally happening next month. Take that winner to fight Diego Lopez. The winner of that then fights the winner of
okay.
Volk.
I'll give that to you. I had a different idea, right? Because we're both piecing it together. I was going to say this one. Yeah, I know, right?
What's behind us?
This is what I was going to say, but I'm going to go with what you said. Because I respect Alex, and I believe he should get that shot. Just because. But I was actually going to say Alex versus Diego, and then the winner of Aljo's fight goes for the title. But let's give Alex that, and then winner of Aljo fights Diego. Because Diego hasn't, he honestly, he hasn't fully got it yet.
If Diego wins that one, your perception is probably going to change. Like, you know what? Okay.
Give it to him.
Give it to him.
Right. But right now, I'm saying not yet. And I'm sorry, Diego. I'm sorry, Diego. I'm sorry.
And you know, and Diego he's had two. What's his fight streak? Win streak right now?
I think he's like 2 or 3, right? I believe he beat Brian.
He beat Brian. He beat
Dan.
He beat Youssef 3, 4, 5. He's in a 5 fight win streak. His last loss was to fucking Mosvar
In the debut.
I believe so. Yeah. So that would be interesting. See, you could build that up.
Right. Number one contender rematch.
Yeah.
Or
like that.
or you fight Aljo. Former champion always sells. You beat a former champion,
Yeah.
go fight for the title.
What's fun is we're only 3 weeks away, so we can answer a lot of these questions.
Right.
We don't have to wait till next year to have all this answered.
Yeah. No, I love it. Okay, so we'll do that. Max Holloway.
Hunter right now.
I know, right? How about Max Holloway? Should we give him some? Let's give him a little spotlight.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
You know, I don't even want to say the words RIP. So that's not what I'm saying. That's what came to mind though. We love Max.
He's moving up to 155, right?
Time to go up to 55. But dude, he's fought so many guys. It's like, who does he fight? I say give him Conor.
Okay, here's the question for you. I'm gonna put it back in your court now. You like to say, well, what are we fighting for? If it's not for the belt, what are we fighting for? Max and Dustin Poirier are at this position right now in their lives. So what are we fighting?
Fight each other.
Is that it? But is that it? It's just for the fun of it? Is Max beating Islam?
I mean, not after what just happened.
These are tough conversations, right?
Tough conversations that I don't like to have.
Well, imagine how they're feeling. Imagine even when Dustin. I love Dustin Poirier. I love Dustin Poirier and Max because they wear their heart on their sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not root for them? And Max is such a a Hawaiian type guy. What's up, brother? Helping out the community. Puts everything out there on the line. Like he's a fighter's fighter.
Right.
But then you get to this point in your career when you get the next. It's almost like passing the torch.
And it's like now a lot of those fights are just pass the torch fights. They've been that way too, but now it's still that way.
And what they are is like, okay, you still have a source of income coming in, because you can fight for another BMF fight, right? He can fight a Legends fight, right? But all we're really we're hiding from the fact of the reality of where you're at in your career. And could he make one more run? Maybe. I'm not going to say he can't. Maybe. Dustin Poirier, when he lost, he was questioning himself when he got knocked out by Justin Gaethje and what he was going to do. Like, what am I doing this for?
Mm-hmm.
And some of these fighters, that's all they know. They don't know what else to do.
I hear you.
These are hard conversations they're probably having internally. I can't see Max retiring probably for another 3 years.
Yeah, and this is the thing though, right? This is where, maybe there could be a problem in the sport with financials, because it's like, if he has made enough money, keep in mind he made $600K in that last one on bonuses alone.
I thought he made like $2 million or something.
No, but he made because it's 600 or 300K bonus, right?
Okay.
And then he got 2 of those. He got knockout of the night and fight of the night.
Okay.
So he got that on top of his purse. So he's making good money. But it just goes to the question of, like, right now he is, but in his first 12 fights in the UFC, how much is that? Less than 100K? Is it maybe like 200K? So my point is that if he would have made enough money, right, would he walk away? Is the sport kind of like, is that an issue? Because like in boxing, you do see it more where it's like these guys don't necessarily fight out till they're like, like how Donald Cerrone did it. That left a bad taste.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Dude, what is that? He lost. He lost like 7 in a row.
Yeah. Anderson Silva. How many did he lose in a row?
Like I think it was like 4 in a row.
Why are these guys continuing to do that? Is it for the money? Because you see boxers, they don't do that. They just leave the sport. Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather.
But Muhammad Ali, he couldn't leave.
Muhammad, but that was back then. I feel like boxers learned the lesson.
I wouldn't go that far. I really wouldn't. I think if we were to look at a bunch of names, I don't have them in front of me, but we could do an episode on that, just specific conversation, because a lot of times I think what it comes down, let's put money in that category, right? But they just don't know what else to do. You're at home, you're twiddling your thumbs, like that's all you know. I'm a fighter.
So here's what I would say.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's on the person, right, to start a business and to have ventures outside of fighting.
Yeah.
I guess there's an argument of like, and not everybody can have it, right? Not everybody can have that superstar feel. But like, a guy like Max Holloway, he sells merch, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, he
games, he games. So it's like, what's he gonna miss? I don't know.
It's a competitive thing though too. You would ask any of these guys that you interview, the goal is to become the champion.
But when it's not the goal anymore.
But I mean, in their mind, it might be. In Max's mind, I'm sure, bro, he's like, man, I know I could get this back. I'm sure Dustin Poirier's mind, I know man, if I just get more run, one more run, one more run. You know, get some time to heal. Volk right now, bro. How do you think Volk's feeling right now? 2 losses, bad losses.
So you kind of think that they want to fight because they want to fight, not because of financials.
I think financials is at the lower tier of really wild.
Okay.
Not
Fair
the
enough.
determining factor anymore. I think most of those guys are waking up now in silk sheets.
Because okay, like a Tony Ferguson, what the fuck, right?
He may have some financial problem. I think that could be that financial could be a little bit higher of a problem.
For Tony in particular. Yeah, it's tough to say because MMA just has this going on right now. The legends can't seem to leave, right? Even Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz, George Masvidal. It's like I could just keep naming them off.
But let's think if we were to go back and look at it, and this is a good conversation. We should actually write this down to like go and start doing statistics on this. If we were to look at the Tito Ortizes, the Chuck Liddells,
Were they overcooked?
right?
We have to look back.
If we were really to take every decade and say, okay, these guys, at what age did they retire? Because, well, 99% of them do not retire on top.
I think Chael was a little cooked.
Of course. You know who did? There's probably 2 guys we can name off top that retired at top.
GSP, Khabib.
And look at, I didn't even have to say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I knew. But think about this, bro. Jordan didn't even retire on top. Jordan went and still fucking wanted to play. These guys, they're just so competitive. But we're talking about the greatest of the great. Tom Brady didn't retire at the top. He did, but like he had that one, his last year didn't do it where he wanted.
Mm.
I think Tom Brady was smart enough to be like, you know what? That is it.
That's it.
It was 1 year removed instead of being 3 or 4 years removed.
So that's the thing is that I think the MMA fighters they get shown right the door well before they take it. That's the thing. I think Tom Brady, to your point, he saw the door and it took him maybe a year to be like, okay, fine, I'll take it.
Was that 1 year? Yeah.
Tony's been shown the door for like the last 5 years. Here's another one. Rafael dos Anjos.
Yeah.
Is that one money? We really don't know. But it's just like they're kind of overcooked, and it's like I wish that they had these other businesses because this leads right into the next topic, right? We're gonna break right into it. More CTE drama. Shane Carwin, we touched on it last week. We're ahead of this topic, and you kind of broke the charge, right? Because when you brought it up, I was like, "Is Dana really worried?" I said that. I questioned you, right? I'm like, "Is Dana really worried?" And then you kind of convinced me as far as like, well, you remember what the NFL and that concussion lawsuit was like? And I'm like, shit, maybe they are worried. So let me get to it real quick. The reason why it sucks that these fighters don't have a lot going on is because when you read these testimonies, right? Because they reached the settlement. Before the settlement was reached, all the fighter testimonies, including Shane Carwin, these guys are broke. They got no businesses. They're still recovering from injuries. Not only Shane, there's these guys who have other issues. Broken legs, dementia, headaches, this and that. They're all struggling.
Yeah.
And they don't have any businesses. So these two topics that we're talking about blend, Not only are these guys not getting out on time, but they're also, as they're out of here, there's hundreds of testimonies saying how much they need this settlement money right now because they're still dealing with physical injuries. They have no health insurance. They have no pension, no retirement. And these guys were all famous as fuck at one point in time.
There's no union in the UFC. The NFL and the NBA and the MLB, they're conglomerates, right? UFC is a conglomerate. But they have the players union in each of those organizations. Dana does not want that.
And neither do the fighters. Let's call it a buck. These fighters don't want it either. They don't do anything for it.
Well, I would say you're getting to a point where who's leading the charge with that case? Who was that fighter? I can't think of his name.
With the case as far as like this lawsuit right now?
Was it
it's the Kong Lei or Kong Lei. Yeah.
Guy, right? Yeah. Like it takes those type of guys to start the conversation and be like, "Hey, fighters, we want to do this for you. We want to make sure there's a pension for you. We want to make sure there's health care for you. Maybe it's not a lot, but it will be something because that's what the NFL and NBA and MLB have. those players unions help them after they retire to get still a portion of something to help them within the life after that. Because when you're 18, 20 and you have nothing and you get an opportunity, and Dana likes to say this, I forgot who said that, we're giving you an opportunity.
Ariel loves to quote that, yeah.
Not a career, it was not a career, an opportunity, right?
Right.
And you have a small window. Think about a running back in the NFL, bro. A running back in the NFL has a 2 to 5 year window to make your money. By the time, and they just tread your tires, just run you out. That's why by the time you're 27, 28, you're an old veteran in the NFL when you're a running back. And they're looking to get that next guy that's 20, 21 to go and replace you and get a brand new tires on. You know what I mean?
Right.
So in the UFC, by not having anything in place, you're putting these guys. Let's call a spade what it is, bro. These aren't guys that are like going to Ivy League schools.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, some of them were like, the college wrestlers, like a DC went to Ohio State.
A percentage, right? There's
right.
a percentage.
Some.
And for even this is a great example. What do you do after college and you're a wrestler? What's your career?
Yeah, because a lot of them major in communications, something easy to do the wrestling. Now, though, they can sign deals in college and make bank.
Make some money. I don't know about make, but you have another opportunity. But it goes to like even the stories of the guys that are wrestlers and become gold
medalists.
Right. They're not. They don't know how to make money afterwards. There is no thing to say, hey, how much you think a wrestling coach makes? 40 grand a year?
Well, in college, they make bank.
Okay, so...
But high school, college coach...
There's an avenue, right? And so now we're taking a percentage of athletes that going to college just for wrestling, that are entering the UFC. That's 10%. Let's say there's another 40%, because you guys now have all over the world, right?
Right.
That are just fucking from the mud.
Which they are.
And what's the one thing they know how to do, man? They know how to fuck people up. But then they start training, they start getting better at it, and they start winning. Some people are just skillful. But then as you keep getting better at it and you keep moving up, let's say you're 30, bro, and you're about to fight for the title. Do you really think these guys are thinking like, okay, what am I going to do at 40 and I retire? 35 when I retire? They're not doing that. No one's, the smart ones, hopefully, are able to put together a plan, bro. But
and that's why I say it is partially on the individual.
Yeah.
But I would just like to see more for. I don't know how to explain it. Like I just noticed that I see things in boxing where these guys have more of a lifestyle. Maybe it's all cat, right? But like you see a guy like who says
we would see more names than you think.
Right, and only you see the big stars, but like a guy like Caleb Plant.
Okay.
He's been a champion, right? He's not like one of the world beaters. He lost to Canelo, so like he's kind of been proven that like he can't hang with that tier of guys. But a lot of the come up guys, he's still able to fight. He makes good money, and he seems to have a good lifestyle. Maybe he doesn't have a business, but here's the thing. He makes enough money to have investments, to have investment properties, and these types of things. Now, I'm not saying the UFC fighters don't, right? But when we talk about what are you going to do after, in a way, if we just isolate it down to financials, like, how many houses does Max own? And that's on Max too. But I guess I think in boxing they're more intelligent with the money. Like I said, they make money, they buy houses and shit. Like Errol Spence, doesn't he seem to have like a lot of money?
I mean, looks can be perceived.
That's what I'm saying. It could be all cap, but at the same time,
I think if we were to do a deep dive on the conversation and maybe bring in someone that's an expert on some of these things, I think I don't think we'd be surprised. I think it's a industry thing, because you could probably go across the board with every sports entertainment industry, and you take a look at 90% of the guys that after they retired, where are they at now? I'm gonna tell you, bro, probably 90% of them are struggling.
So because we're watching the guys I named, right? They're in their prime. They're currently competing. So of course they have that perception. But you're kind of saying like, why don't we take a look at where they're at 10 years from now?
Because if we were to look at the guys, like, let's say during Chuck Liddell, dude, Tito Ortiz has come out and said he's fucking broke.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was kind of fine.
Like I said, we could do a deep dive and really look at some of these guys that they're 10% of them have been able to do something else. The other 90, bro, they're still like day to day twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out what the fuck to do with their life. Because if you take away your identity, and what's your identity when you're an athlete? I'm a fighter, I'm a football player, I'm a basketball player. And then Father Time comes and then you realize you can't compete at the highest level. Who are you as a person? You start trying to find that.
That's why it's important, I feel like, to have investment properties and shit.
Well, I completely agree. I mean, I 100% agree with you, right?
Yeah.
But these aren't questions that 90% of these fighters are having. And I think it's because 90% don't even make it to that level to have that conversation. There's only a handful of guys that are becoming the top of the
They're
world.
all chasing their tails still, as far as the bottom 90%.
Yeah, bro. Like, they're still, you know, we could go through the list of all the guys from 10 to 15, 10 to 20. You know, these guys are trying to make $10,000 to $50,000 every time they fight. They're not even at the level to have that conversation you're having to try to generate more wealth.
I hear you.
So first you got to reach the peak, right?
Yes. But you see the guys who... My thing is this, though, a little bit, is like, you see the guys like Tony who reached the peak, and then he's got nothing. So it's just weird. It's just a weird thing to look at.
And, you know, it goes back to not all of these guys are educated like that.
And so maybe that's the answer.
That's a part, and maybe not having the right people around you.
And maybe also, you know, let's admit, right, not getting enough money for what they're worth in their fights.
That as well.
Right. Starting off and signing these guys at $5,000 to $5,000 to risk your life. That's crazy.
There's so many things you could
The premier organization in the world. You could sign 5 and 5.
Yeah.
You're talking about world-class fighters. This is risking your life. And you get 5 and 5 just because it's your first fight.
And that goes back to why the UFC would never want like a players union. Because even in the NFL, there's a minimum. I believe that even the starter, like the guy that's on the practice field, I believe he gets $200,000.
Well, and that's kind of my point, right? That's the thing, right? In boxing, it's okay. I'm not going to compare boxing. Let me just leave it in MMA. In MMA, if they were to get signed to the UFC at a minimum, right, of 25 and 25, right? So if you win, that's $50K. That means if you win 2 fights in a year, that's $100K. That's kind of the base salary in America. It's actually probably needs to be higher than that now, right? With all the inflation and shit. But let's call it that. Let's call it that.
And even the average person is struggling to make $50,000.
But because, right, if the fighter loses, then that's a minimum of $50K, which is still decent for a living, right? You can still afford your apartment, right? You can still live in an apartment and pay $2,000 a month for a whole year and be fine, right? If you fight twice. So my point is, it's a question. Would these fighters be better off if maybe they got signed to 25 and 25?
No, I don't think so.
You think they'd still run into the same issues?
Yeah, because I mean,
they would spend that money that they got in the beginning.
Yeah, and if we're talking about the differences of like what you just said, like when we're thinking Max Holloway and the Dustin Poiriers have made millions, right?
Millions.
And let's say we have this conversation in 5 years and we found out, dude, why is Max still fighting? You know what's happening here? Like we're questioning him like how we're questioning Tony Ferguson. I think that. I'm hoping anyway. I feel like Max has his wife with him.
I think Max and DP are chilling. You know, Dustin has hot sauce.
Yeah, I think they have a good foundation with their family, with their wives, and they're like the people behind the scenes helping them make better financial decisions.
Right.
So I think if you were to interview Dustin's wife, Dustin's wife's gonna be like, man, I really would like him to retire. Where there's nothing else to prove. Come spend time with your family. I bet you if we were to interview Max Holloway's wife, she probably might say the same thing. It's them that are chasing it, but they have reached. Now you got all these other guys. Let's say the guy's still chasing that dream at that same age, but they're not even in the top 20. But now
like Chris Weidman.
They need.
Look at Chris Weidman.
Chris Weidman, he's another one too. He should probably retire. And he's on TV like Anthony Smith. They don't need to be doing these things. They still have that itch. ESPN is probably paying them more money to be on air than it is for them to go back.
I
to
think
the
actually ESPN has been putting Chris on a lot more now because I think they're trying to be like, look, Chris, here's something for you. You can leave anytime you want.
And I like his personality. You got to have
I fuck
personality.
with Chris. He's got a great personality.
You know, they see those as all determining factors, right? But there's something inside these men, and they're already fighters. It's hard for them to get their identity. They don't want to be a person on TV. They'll do it down deep.
They'll settle for that, right? Once the career's over. Because as a second best.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like if you hear Chill and DC, those are good interviews probably to have behind the scenes. If you ever get someone that's a little bit older and that's retired, having those deep conversations with them to be like, when did you have to say goodbye? Like, what was it in how deep is it inside you that you still would love to fight? Because I know all of them are probably like, nah, bro, one more, just one more.
Yeah.
Just one more.
I think DC accepted it with his body and his injuries. I think he said over and over again, like, I can't fight anymore. I think DC and like a guy like Bisping, I think with the injuries, but that's the thing. The sport is so vicious, man. And DC and Bisping, they got out with these injuries. And keep in mind, right, Bisping just got a neck surgery. And he makes money, so he's fine. But you have these guys who are dealing with the same bodily injuries as Bisping. And they have nothing to their name. They're also undergoing neck surgery with no insurance.
Imagine, and what is their 9 to 5? Are they working at a car dealership?
They're probably teaching jiu-jitsu classes.
You know what I mean? So like,
there's no insurance with the job. There's nothing. There's no savings. When they're not teaching jiu-jitsu classes, there's no income.
It's a savage thing.
It's just tough. I wish there could be more to it.
It is tough.
And I feel like you could put the blame more on the fighters. Here's what I'll just say, right? We'll kind of conclude the topic with this. I would put it more as the fighter's responsibility if you gave them more money to start with. If I said, okay, you gave him 50 grand and he blew that to start. Okay, that's his fault. He was naive. You gave him the money. It was on him to have people around him to make good decisions. You can only blame him. But the fact that you don't give them that and then it shows that they're broke at the end and have no insurance and all these things, it's just like, that again, it's like that leaves a little smoke for me to question. Take that out. Just shell him out $50K.
Have you ever watched Ballers on HBO?
A little bit. I watched like the first couple episodes.
Okay, like that dives deep into what you're talking about. Because The Rock is The Rock is now a retired NFL player.
Mm-hmm.
Going to shit. Fucking trying to make ends meet when he's made all this money. Then dealing with younger players coming into the NFL, who's now getting all this, but I'm gonna do this. I got my whole crew with me. We're gonna do this. He's like, dude, like, bro, slow down. You just got 5 million. That 5 million just became 500,000 real quick.
Yeah.
When you're young, bro, imagine not giving you $1 million in your 21.
Right, but at the same time, right? If you squander it, you can only blame yourself. And that's the thing. I just wish the UFC would give them the money that the NFL players get when they get signed, right? When you get signed to the big leagues, you get the big bucks. And let them make their mistakes or let them put the right people in front of them.
Yeah.
It is, so fair enough. I think let's just touch on like one more topic or something like that and then we can wrap up because pretty much like an hour and a half, so that's pretty good. Let me see what we got here. I mean, it does lead into Dana versus Francis, and also, if you wanted to have any comments on Khamzat as well, you can go either way with it.
Yeah.
Dana versus Francis or Khamzat.
They're both good topics. I dropped the vlog earlier. I haven't dropped it, but I recorded about Khamzat and Robert. I picked Robert.
Okay, me too.
As another passing the torch almost. What does Robert do from here? Let me ask you that.
It's tough. He's got that broken fucking jaw, man. Call it a day. These injuries in MMA are so nasty, dude.
Did you hear what he said though? Did you hear that? But he had that injury when he was younger. It wasn't his jaw. In that, so it basically just almost popped that bone again. And Ariel had a doctor on to describe what happens right here. And Robert said he grows that goatee so he can hide his.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I know,
Like
right?
all of that. So the force of that when it happened, it wasn't like he broke his jaw. He like broke a piece right in here, but probably the intense pain of it, he tapped out so fast. But I mean, he's a fighter's fighter. He was already like shaking it off, like, bro, I'm ready to fight in 3 months. Could you imagine for that
Yeah.
average person
They're
to
crazy injuries.
bro, crazy injury. I had to fucking go get a cavity shit, bro. I'm gonna cry. Like,
I know, right? They show you the needle, you're like, oh fuck, that thing's big.
and so these guys are warriors, modern day gladiators, putting themselves at. But my question is this: now, this is a good division to talk about. Sean Strickland may, and this is what I just dropped. He may get passed up. And you said before all of this, let's build Chimaev, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this too. And I'm like, ooh, they bumped him to number 3. What? Sean, Izzy, Chimaev, Robert now.
Here's what so
3?
what, does he deserve 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big jump.
Yeah, he deserves 3. That's Robert Whittaker now.
I know.
That's Robert Whittaker now.
Big Robert Whittaker.
Yeah. So you cannot take that win lightly. The way what he did to him, only the champ has done.
That's what I'm afraid of, though.
Yes.
I don't. Chimaev has that same. I think he tires in those second, third rounds. If you can get past his first ambush, I think you have a chance. But if he catches you within those first 4 to 5 minutes in that round, it's over for you. But so that's where I'm kind of like at this right now. It's like, if he gets tested into deep waters, is that the same Chimaev? So that's where I question where everything's at. See, I can answer that for Ilia. I can't answer that for Chimaev.
Because he hasn't been proven yet, right?
And we saw him with Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman maybe could have won that third round. If those are a championship fight, Kamaru Usman looked like he was picking up his steam in the fourth.
And with Gilbert too. Same story.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like, if you can, and I say this too a lot of times too, if you can handle the onslaught, that first impact rush from Chimaev, I want to see if there's a chance, because we evidently know if you can't, it's a fucking wrap. This motherfucker is gonna he's like a bear in there.
Yeah, so to your point, before you presented what you said, I was thinking Strickland to Dreykus and Khamzat to Izzy. Now, I asked the question, what proves more to you as a fan, a win over Strickland or a win over Izzy if you're Khamzat? What makes you believe in him more? Because that's kind of who he should fight, right?
Before getting DDP.
I think you got to give it. Okay, here's my thing. I'll answer my question. I think Strickland proves more. I think if you get past Strickland, I have less questions about your style than if you beat Izzy, because Izzy's only a kickboxer. You get past Strickland, I'm like, okay, you're the real deal. Izzy, I'm like, okay, fight Strickland.
So weights, because DDP came out and said he'd rather fight Khamzat.
Yes. But like I say, this is me, right? So you tell me what you want. But for me, I say how I've been saying. Sandbag Khamzat. Now he sped up the fucking process by submitting Robert. So now it's only one more and then the title. So that's why I say give him Izzy. I would rather him fight Strickland because it would prove more to me as a fan. But give Strickland the title shot out of respect, just like Volk. And give Khamzat Izzy. Boom.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I agree with that. I also agree, I won't get mad if he fights DDP. I think DDP might be, if DDP can withstand the first onslaught, there's something going to happen there. But if he gets one more fight before they give him DDP, and let's say DDP and Sean Strickland do it, and then Izzy, I think that's a good fight for Izzy too, though. I think if Izzy's smart, you take that fight. It's going to be big money too.
Yeah, and you take that fight now, right? Before he beats another big name and gets all that confidence.
You take that fight now while you still have juice.
Right. I like it.
Because if you lose to him, but if you beat him, you get another shot at the title.
And hear this one out too, right? Strickland
if-
versus Drake. Or go ahead. Go ahead.
But if DDP submitted Izzy, I don't know what Hamzat's gonna do.
Right. Facts. Now here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, guys. Sean Strickland. Strickland versus Dreykus. Win-win for the UFC. Whoever wins, right? Granted, Khamzat beats Izzy. Dreykus versus Khamzat, big fight, right? Because Dreykus sells massive tickets. And so does Khamzat. Strickland versus Khamzat, you got the team beef. They train together. They don't like each other anymore. They got a bunch of social media posts, tweets, hating on each other. You know? Interviews where they're hating on each other. Tons of clips, tons of content. So either person who wins that can fight Khamzat for big money.
Yeah, you know what I was putting into perspective too? I didn't realize how many followers Hamzat had on Instagram.
How many does he have? Like 100 million? Huh?
He has like 8 million.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I think that, and someone had said like he may not be as big here in the United States, but internationally, he is fucking huge.
Yeah,
And
but he's also mainstream in the U.S. Like, people are like, yo, you're going to watch Khamzat fight tonight? You know? Ain't nobody saying that about Kayla Harrison. Let's keep it a buck.
8.5 million. 8.5 million.
8.5 million, okay.
John has 2.4.
Damn. There we go.
So I was thinking about that. I was like, his audience is big, and there's sharks literally circling that division, because now you have Shara, who just he 3 fights finished in a row, just got into 14. Bo Nickel's about to fight Paul Craig. We're about to see if he deserves to be in the top 15. See, these are 2 fighters that I think, what you're talking about, Chimaev, this is what's happening in the welterweight division almost. You know, you got all these sharks circling.
Yeah.
We're seeing the middleweight division starting to get these sharks circle a little bit.
Right.
Starting to see the Chimaev's a big shark swimming right now.
Yeah, he's the big shark for sure.
Shara's like kind of on the outer circle. And then you got fucking Bo Nickel like trying to get back in, because Bo Nickel could be dangerous, bro.
Yeah, and if Khamzat's not careful, Shara's going to get that Izzy fight before he does. So they're swimming in the same waters.
You know, it'd be interesting for Shara. Give him like an Anthony Hernandez. I don't know if Anthony Hernandez takes that fight. I have a feeling Anthony Hernandez and Brendan Allen will probably fight next.
Okay. Well,
because they've already fought.
I think they even said something like Brendan did a poll and his fans want him to rematch Fluffy, so he called him out. I think I saw a post about that. You see that? Okay. Yeah. So I think, they maybe might run it, but then, you know, who could Shara fight? Interesting to see. Interesting to see for sure.
Jack Hermanson.
Throw him anyone.
Yeah, Marvin Vittori, you better start stepping up. Like, Marvin Vittori is all of a sudden becoming like that guy that just like, you're not even fighting.
Like a Colby Covington.
Yeah, you're not even fighting. Like, what are we name anymore? Paulo Costa, you got to give it to him because he'll fight anybody. Give up Paulo Costa.
Right. Hey, okay. Before we end it, this will be the last. This will be the last topic. And we got to give him shine. Joaquin Buckley.
Okay.
He continues to call out Usman. Now, what I was thinking before he continues to call out Usman is that everybody has fallen through for Ian Gary at UFC Tampa. The only person who's down to fight at UFC Tampa is Buck. The reason why the UFC hasn't made this fight, I don't know at this point. Or at least offered it. Who knows if they have and somebody turned it down. But I don't think Buck would be calling out Kamaru if he turned down Ian. You know?
Right.
It's seeming like Buckley's going to fight Ian Gary next. If he wants to fight before the end of the year and he's adamant, I think it's him versus Gary at UFC Tampa.
Would love that. I would love that.
It'd be crazy.
No, that'd be super exciting. You get to see exactly where he's at too.
But if they don't book it, I guess you'll see what the UFC's thinking. They really believe in both guys and they don't want to put them against each other yet.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's obvious. Why hasn't Buckley gotten the call?
I mean, I couldn't answer that for you. But if you got Sean Brady, you got Ian Gary, you got who were the other guys that we were talking about? That's right there.
Kamaru, Colby, Gilbert.
Right. I mean, and those Kobe and Gilbert, like, but the young guys that are just right there. Actually, I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I now got Joaquin on my list. Shavkat. Oh, JDM. I'm sorry, JDM. Sean Brady, Ian Gary, Joaquin, Michael Morales. Those guys. Shavkat's about to show you what's really gonna happen. But I mean, Joaquin Buckley versus JDM. I mean, damn. Imagine that fight.
So what do you think is next for him? Do you think that they're gonna give him Kamaru? I mean, because this is the weird thing. Okay, let's just try to answer this one. If you use the math, right? Joaquin called out Kamaru for UFC Tampa. Ian has been trying to get on UFC Tampa. He's apparently signed for the date, but Colby declined. Do you have any idea why the UFC hasn't offered that fight up to Joaquin yet?
I bet you what they're trying to do is set up Leon versus Kamaru.
For a third?
Where's Leon at?
No, okay. I'll listen to that, but this is actually what I think. Ian versus Leon.
Yeah, two.
Ian versus Leon.
Kamaru
Joaquin versus Kamaru.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to book those because honestly, I'm just kind of truly wondering. With Buckley still calling for UFC Tampa, the UFC knows that he wants to fight on there. Ian wants to fight on there. The fact that they're not putting them together, I'm just calling it out.
I know they released, and the way the UFC does it, you see them always releasing little news by little news, right? They've released, 2 fights right now for UFC Tampa right now. So there's going to be a lot that's going to be probably in the next week or two.
Is the card full at this point? Are you able to look?
I think they've only released 2 fights. I'm looking at it right now.
How many fights does UFC Tampa have? Let's see if it's booked.
On the website, it just shows to be determined.
Okay, let me look at Tapology.
Sorry. They have Amanda versus Mackenzie. They have Cub versus Billy. Tracy Cortez versus Miranda. Michael Johnson versus Ottman. Joel versus Drakir. Vitor versus Dustin. Cape versus Silva. Bruna Silva.
It looks like it's full.
So they're just waiting to drop the main and co-main.
You don't think the main is Amanda Ribas versus Mackenzie Dern?
I fucking better hope not.
Yeah, over Dustin Jacoby, Vitor. So, okay. So glad I brought this up. So they are actually in need of a main event. Let's say, fuck the
They know, but they already know who it's going to be, bro. They just haven't dropped it. They know.
No, but this is my serious point.
Okay.
Remember what I said about Joaquin? He wants to headline. It has to be a fight night. It can't be a pay-per-view. Like I just said, Ian Gary doesn't have an opponent. Ian Gary has already signed to fight at UFC Tampa. It was supposed to be Colby Covington.
Mm-hmm.
Why hasn't the UFC called Joaquin Buckley to fight Ian Gary? I gotta text him. I might have to fucking text him. There's one fucking spot left on the card.
I bet you there's 2 spots.
But at the minimum, right? There's one.
At the minimum.
At the minimum, there's one.
Everybody's
booked.
And put Charles Johnson on their put Joaquin Main.
That'd be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's booked. The only person is Joaquin.
Book it, Hunter. Book it, Hunter.
Have I just kind of like spoiled the plans? Because all paths lead to this. There's no main event? I didn't even know that. I thought there was a main event.
No, what you're doing is putting the energy into the air for it to formulate.
Let's see it. I've always wanted them for a title fight in the future, but all roads point to these 2 right now.
I think in the next week we're gonna find out a lot.
All right. Well, that's it. Let me. So long to everyone. We're gonna end the live first, and then I'll end the Zoom. Say bye to the fans.
Let's go.
All right.